Good morning, and on behalf of Met Culinary Management, welcome to Maryville College. I did speak to some of you, and I'll try to point to some of their questions. Those, more than likely, those are your questions as well. Flex dollars can be used at the snack bar Isaac's Cafe location, the Scott C-Store, which houses our Highland Grounds coffee, which features Vienna coffee, which is roasted here in town. And can be used also to gain entrance at a deep discount at the dining hall. For those of you who might be parents of a commuter, that will be the best option that you have, is to purchase Flex dollars, because it does, I think lunch is 24% at the door. So that's a pretty good discount. We do have these sheets, and I'll have them available during lunch. It gives you the contact person, which is Kristen Gurley, who is the Director of Campus Life here on the campus. And she will help you, prior to school, establish what your meal plan choice is for your student and get that taken care of for you. There are 4 levels. Right now, every student is at the base level, which is $50. There is the next level up is the plus, and that's at $260. The gold at $375, and the extra plus at $450. It is my firm advice that you can go liberal. That doesn't mean that you need to go up to $450. You make those decisions. But you can go liberal in the fall because it's going to roll over to the spring. And in the spring, if your student has plenty left over, you can go down, all the way back down to the base if that's what you so need to do. So you can make that determination. So in the fall, you can be a little bit more liberal. You can find out what their spending habits are. Okay? Why is it better to have Flex dollars than cash? Well, Flex dollars are on the card and protected, okay? If they lose that card, unlike a debit card, which will take 3 weeks or so to get another copy, they just walk over there to Bartlett Hall, snap, and they have a new card. And all their money is still on that card and able to be used. So the convenience and the protection and the security of having that right there on their ID is good. It also allows Flex dollars in any portion allow you to help your student budget throughout the year. And lastly, I think that one of the great things about having Flex dollars is that they are discounted. We run specific Flex dollar discounts and specials at our C-Store and at our at the Isaac's location, as well as the discounts at the dining hall. Folks, if you want to look into upgrading the meal plan from the base, just contact Kristen Gurley. I have the information here, or you can find it on the Maryville College website. I will be at lunch. If you want to ask any questions, just wave at me, and I'll come over and talk to you and answer any questions I can. Thank you very much for your time.
One of the things that we've done at Maryville College in the last 2 years is completely renovate and upgrade our dining facilities, and Metz has been a big part of that. And so today, you are eating in our gym, on the gym floor. Well, no, not on the floor, but you know what I mean. Pearson's Hall, for those of you that are familiar with Maryville College, Pearson's Hall has been completely gutted. It will reopen in August with beautiful dining room, brand new state-of-the-art kitchen facilities, and we're also opening 2 floors upstairs for residents, and some of you are the parents of sons who will be living on the 3rd floor. So they'll have brand new digs this year. So Metz has been with us for a year. We've been very pleased with them. And yes, the Flex dollars allow you and your student to have some conversations about how they're going to be spending their money. It is a declining balance on their student ID card. They just have to keep up with that ID card, which they're getting made today. And those flex dollars will roll over to the spring. The meal plan meals do not. You purchase a meal plan per semester. So we can all answer more questions about food, but we know that food is very important to 18-year-olds. So I want to introduce you today to, actually you see their picture in the center up there. This is Carol Ann and Brent Coil. They are from here, locally. They're the parents of Lou Dean. You see the family resemblance. No, actually, Lou Dean Lewis you've already met. She's from Florida. They're the parents of Blaine and I think 2 other daughters, right? Yes. And they are chairs of our Parents' Council for this next year. We'll talk a little bit about that. But one of the things that we have found is fun through the years is to talk a little bit about what to expect as a college parent and then actually have them kind of act out some typical scenarios that you're going to go through this fall. So let me ask this. How many of you are doing this for the first time? First child going to college? Okay. How many of you are doing it for the last time? Woo-hoo-hoo! Congratulations. That is a really good mix in here. To those people who raised your hands last, this means you can now run naked in your house. And the possibilities are endless. So, researchers for a long time have looked at trying to type people, stereotype them, put them into categories. And as we all know, there's a big danger in stereotyping. But we do know that there are certain characteristics that research bears out that are common to students that are coming to college in this period of time. And there's a group of research that suggests that how generations function has a lot to do with what is going on in the world at that time. And so there's some characteristics that we find to be true of students who've come to college in the last 5 to 10 years that maybe weren't true 40 years ago when I went to college or 30 years ago, 20 years ago when some of you did. So first of all, we tend to have very sheltered students, very sheltered kids. And by that I mean they've done a lot of things in high school, but we have kept them pretty close to our side. Frankly, the world became a much scarier place in the last 25 years. And one of the things that we know that proves this is that college students typically don't go as far away as they used to. Maryville College is mostly, over half, Tennessee students now. 30 years ago, only about 20 to 25% of our students from Tennessee. And that is typical at colleges and universities. So we want to keep them not too far away. Our students today are very confident, and they're confident because we gave them trophies and awards every time they did anything when they were little kids. You were on the soccer team. Here, have a trophy. We did this to them. And so they typically come to college thinking they can't fail because the psychologists told us that failure was a dangerous thing and self-esteem was so important. And so we needed to do everything we could to build up their self-esteem and make them feel proud and good. Now, can you understand how overconfidence could be a problem this year? So, on all of these, the being sheltered and coming away from home, the being confident, but golly, I'm probably going to go through some failure this year, are big deals for the transition to college. They're very team-oriented, and employers, Fortune 500 companies tell us that is great because employers are looking for people that know how to function in a team, to problem solve, so forth. However, a lot of your students have done some of their most rigorous work in middle and high school as part of a group, not in single effort. And most of the rigorous work they'll do here at Maryville College, they're doing on their own. And so sometimes there's got to be an adjustment as to how and when they find their own feet and are able to work independently. They're very high achieving. And I'm an old public educator. I was an assistant principal and a principal in area high schools. And I always take offense at American high schools getting battered and beaten around because the truth is American students are well educated and they come to us high achieving. They work for the most part hard, and the curriculum that they have now in most high school honors programs is tougher than you and I had. But because of that high achieving and because of all the activities they do, they experience a tremendous amount of pressure. as we see in depression and suicide rates among adolescents. We have very, very high hopes and high expectations for our students. They're very conventional, and let me tell you exactly what I mean by that word. I was a rebellious 70s kid. We did awful things as a group to push, to test the limits. Your children are pretty conventional. Let me put it more plainly. I would not have wanted to be a dean of students in the 1970s. I'm perfectly happy being here now because for the most part, our kids are respectful. They are rule followers. You're looking at me like, whose kids are you talking about? You got it pretty good, folks. Your kids are pretty compliant and cooperative in the things that we expect them to do. And there's evidence of that in national rates such as pregnancy rates and drug use rates. Our kids are good kids, and they come to Maryville College as good kids. But because they've been so sheltered, we've told them that they are wonderful. They've only worked together in groups. They're high achieving. They feel pressure, but they do what we tell them to. They think they are special. So special. And so the leaving of you and the coming to college and establishing themselves within this community means that they all think that they should be the one. And they should get to do exactly what they want to do. And I don't like that roommate, so do something about it kind of people, okay? So what we're going to talk about, and you better nod at me because you know I'm telling the truth. Your kid thinks he or she is very special, right? Yes, okay. So we're going to talk a little bit now through some little vignettes with our family over here. To help you think about, and these are going to be funny and comical, but there are lessons with them all to think about what it's going to be like in August through this first semester for you as a college parent at Maryville College. So the first one, we're going to focus on just our parents over here, and they have just dropped off little Udine, and they are on their way home. Now, there's two ways you're going to feel about this. You may be ecstatic or you may be terrified. So in this first one...
All right, Lou, it's been great here. You have a good time here at the school, and I think you're in good shape. You know, you go back to your room, your roommate, and all that kind of stuff. We'll talk to you at some point. Okay. Love you, girl. All right. Oh, man, is this great or what? Oh, man. I'm thinking, dump this minivan. Let's get a motorcycle, go to Bonnaroo.
Oh, my gosh, no.
Yeah?
This is going to be awful. I don't have anybody to go to those matinees with when you're on call. I'm going to be so by myself without her here. I can't believe...
Think about all this freedom we're going to have. It's going to be great, golly. All the things we could do.
You are not to start thinking about that running around naked that Dr. Kemp just talked about. We're going to have some time to just grieve and to settle in and to realize that our relationship's going to be different and our home and our life's going to be different.
Go ahead and grieve. I'll go ahead and celebrate. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. And Ludine, you can come back. You are going to have so many conflicting emotions about this. And it's hard to predict who's going to be in the worst shape. Now, they did it, I think some people often assume that it's going to be mom who's going to be all broken up. Sometimes the very opposite is true. You know, mom doesn't have to be the soccer mom anymore, hauling everybody around. She can have a life now, and dad is over there going to pieces. I can tell you that when my daughter, who went to college about 15 years ago, came home with her tattoo, it was not mom who was upset. Dad had a meltdown. So you just never know how those little efforts at independence are going to play out. But the thing that I want to say to you, the practical thing is, whether you're dropping your child off who's a football player on August 10th, or whether you're coming back on the 19th for your non-athlete to move in on regular moving in day, that trip away from the campus is going to be emotional. And it's going to be emotional, as you saw, for Ludine as well. Here's what we will do. We will tell you when it's time to go. And I'll do it fairly rudely. I will say, it's time to go now. because those long, drawn-out goodbyes are hard on everybody. And we have hall meetings that night that they are required to attend, and please get out of here before that happens. I remember 2 years ago, this big strapping boy was living in Gamble Hall, and I'm in the middle of the hall meeting with the Gamble men, and somebody knocks on the door out front, and it's Mom who's brought Taco Bell for him because she's worried that he's hungry. He never lived that down. He's a junior now, and we still talk about Mom's Taco Bell. So don't do that to your daughter or son. Okay, next chapter. We gotta deal with how students are feeling about leaving home. Are they going to be homesick? Are they going to be excited to be there? And so this is typically a call you get early on.
Sweetie, I think we should call Ludine and see how her first week's been. Okay.
Sounds like a good plan.
I think.
Ring, 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 ring. Hey, Ludine, how you doing?
Hey, Dad.
Hey, how's it going at school?
It's so good. Everything is so great. My peer mentor is awesome. Her name's Ludine. She's great. And I climbed a 60-foot tower.
Oh,
and
man.
I went in the woods, and it was amazing. Like,
Cool. I know your mom wants to talk to her, too. Yeah.
So it sounds like things are going really, really well.
Mom, it is the greatest school on the face of the planet.
Well, are you missing us at all? Or are you doing pretty well there?
Yeah, of course I'm missing you. Like, when I'm not home, but I made new friends, and everything's so great.
How about things with your roommate? Where I know you had some concerns. But
She is actually pretty cool. Like, we're like, we hang out sometimes,
Wow.
and she she's hanging out, in the room, and I'm trying to take a nap, but it's cool. Like, I'm cool with it. Yeah, it's great.
Well, boy, it sounds like you're learning to flex a little bit. Have you gone to any matinees without me, though?
No. Never, Mom, will I ever deceit you, betray you like that.
Oh, well, no, it's not a betrayal. It's just, we're just missing you, but we're glad to hear that it sounds like you're doing really, really, really well.
I'm having a great old time.
Good.
Okay, so that hopefully will be the first week. They'll all be happy. Let's hope for that. And then a couple of weeks later, different phone call from Ludine home.
Cling, cling, cling. Hello?
Mom,
Yeah, hey, sweetie, how are you?
I hate my roommate.
Oh, honey.
Mom, she's literally the worst person on the face of the planet.
Oh, God, no. Now, you all were getting along so well last
No,
week.
it was fake. It was fake. I swear it was fake. It was horrible. She's horrible. I need you to move me right now. I need my
Oh,
own
no.
bedroom. I need my own room. I need you to call Vandy, and I need you to say, hey, she needs her own room. Just do it.
Ludine, breathe deep. Now, remember what we talked about, that it takes a few weeks to get adjusted. You've only been there 2 weeks. You haven't had enough time to really get to know each other, have you?
It's been 2 weeks too long, Mom.
Oh, sweetie. Well, listen, remember when we heard about things at orientation, they talked about talking to your RA. Have you talked to your RA? And maybe she can step in the middle of it and give you some hints about how to get along.
Or you
Or?
can call Dean Kemp and get me my own room.
Oh, I think Dad has some ideas. Let me pass
Or
it
you
on.
could buck up and make this happen. I mean, that's another option.
Or Dean Kemp.
Okay, I think I better step in and stop this. Okay. You can call me anytime you want to. I'll give you my cell phone. Do not call me and ask me to get your kid a private room. There are no private rooms. But let's talk about roommates here just a minute. And again, this is one of those times you commuter people, bear with us, be patient. We are going to take your baby and we're going to put him or her in a cinder block room that looks sort of like a cell with a total stranger. And we're all going to pray and hope for the best. And that's what roommates are like. How many of your young people right now that are coming to Maryville College, how many of them share a room right now? Not many. And I'm guessing that probably for a lot of you that didn't raise your hand, I don't know if your children ever shared. Sometimes they share earlier on. They're used to their space. They're used to throwing stuff wherever they want it to be. They are not used to sharing space. And what's even worse, we've taught them to be polite And so heaven help them that they could ever say, would you mind picking up your stuff and putting it on your side? They can't do that because what if they make her mad? And that would just be a terrible thing to do. So we have RAs who are students. Actually, several of our peer mentors are also RAs. They are students trained to work with our new students. And every building has a professional master's level student development person who lives in the building. Those people are trained to mediate, to help roommates work through these issues. So, Caroline did exactly the right thing. We learned about RAs at Great Beginnings. Have you talked to the RA yet? Now, often what you'll get back is, well, she likes my roommate better than she likes me. So talking to her won't do any good. The good thing about Maryville College is that you can talk to the RA, you can talk to the RD, you can talk to Kristen Gorley in Bartlett, you can work your way all the way up to me. But what we want is for the student to do that, because part of the learning and growing experience at Maryville College is learning how to live with someone and how to give and take and how to make compromises and how to figure out how we're going to live together. The other thing I want to say to you to encourage your kids, it is very unlikely that their first freshman roommate is going to become their bosom best buddy for the rest of their lives. As you know, as you should know by now, your students had to fill out a housing form, and that form asks them a lot about preferences. I call it the dating form, because we actually use it sort of like eharmony.com. We get those forms together, and the Res Life staff pairs people as systematically with companionship in mind and similarity in mind as much as possible. Most of our athletic coaches want their team members to live together, and so most of them do. Not all coaches do, but most of them do. And so our staff works really hard to pair people up. But sometimes it doesn't work out real well, and if it doesn't work out real well, we want to get them here and try to figure out, is this relationship hopeless? Or can we figure out some common ground here? The truth of the matter is, all you're doing is sleeping in that room. You don't have to find your future maid of honor there. Okay? Well, I keep talking gender specific about girls. Guys have roommate problems too. Let me just say that. So this is a tough challenge, the roommate thing. Ludine, what do you learn from having a roommate?
You learn that to share, and that close proximities makes you learn a lot about a person, a lot about who they are, their intricacies, their little details that they might not know.
Okay. I wasn't fishing for a right answer. I just wondered what you say. No, there's no. You do learn, and I think for those of us that went to college back in the day, I can look back at my experience 40 years ago and think I probably learned more in my residential life than I did anywhere else on campus, because I was one of those special kids that had my own room and thought I was a princess. And I went through 3 roommates my freshman year. I'm not particularly proud of that, but it may be why I grew up and became a dean of students. I don't know. But anyway, just be aware that is challenging, that we are expecting students to learn and grow and compromise and to learn how to talk to each other respectfully and try to find common ground. And if you can back us up on that enterprise, that helps. Okay. Let's see. I got my arrows going in the wrong direction. Here we go. All right. Student comes home for the 3rd weekend in a row.
Ludine.
Hey, Dad.
You've been here like 3 weeks in a row now?
Yeah. Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Home, just hanging out.
Well, great. A little awkward. We're hosting the first Yoga for Republicans meeting tonight at our place, and so.
I can go put on my yoga clothes. That's cool.
No. I think
also the running for Democrats too in the other room, and we just weren't expecting you. We've got other things that we were planning to do, sweetie.
Yeah, like a family.
Well, no. I mean, Dad and I just have made some plans with some other folks, and it's kind of awkward.
For you, like home. You knew home, like at Maryville.
Like old home,
and
like
this is
family.
like our old home, like
Do
Mom
you
and
not
I.
want me
Yeah.
home?
Come visit anytime. Yeah.
Here I am.
Sweetie, But we want you to get used to being at your home in Maryville. I mean, will always be your home, but that's your home away from home. And I'm concerned that you've been here three weekends in a row. I'm worried that you're not learning how to, find things to do on weekends and spend time with your friends. And, it's not that we don't want you here at all, but it is that we want you to find ways to put roots there, right, sweetie?
Yeah.
We're joking about what's going on tonight, but we're serious about Dad and I having some plans for ourselves. That running around naked thing.
Don't put that image in your child's head, please. Okay, let's talk about this. Now, for those of you who are from Texas, this isn't going to be an issue, obviously. For those of you that are the parents of fall athletes, soccer, volleyball, football, cross country, it's not going to be an issue. For the rest of you who live within a 200 or 250 mile range, which was a bunch of you, this is likely going to become an issue. Now, I'll tell you, they move in, we do orientation, classes start, and that very weekend is a 3-day weekend because of Labor Day. And a lot of them will head home. And I don't quarrel too much for that. I kind of get that. But if at the end of September they've been coming home every single weekend, that means that they're not experimenting with any kind of life, getting to know people here. And it is a good idea to encourage them to do so. Maryville is a quiet campus, and we're sitting in a pretty quiet town. We're not a big clubbing strip I don't mean that kind of strip. I mean like a street with clubs on it. Never mind. Get that image out of your mind, too. We're a pretty quiet little place. And so a lot of your kids are going to say, well, there's just nothing to do there on the weekends. And here's what I've discovered to be true. We haven't done a particularly good job of teaching our kids how to make their own fun. If it's not on a screen in front of them or on some gadget or a party's going on around them, they're going to be sitting there going, I don't have anything to do. And so that's a good conversation to have, and that's something to encourage them with when they get here. Here's the other thing I know. Freshmen go home at a much, much dramatically higher rate than upperclassmen do. Because by the time they get to be sophomores, your house isn't their home anymore. We're their home. Now, moms, did that make your gut wrench just a little bit? That's not home. And that's a good thing. Get back to that. We don't want them living with you when they're 35, right? So it's good. It's good for them to start transitioning and making a life at Maryville College. Now, there are RAs, there are peer mentors who will help them find things to do and become engaged. Even if your children aren't sports fans, Division III athletics is huge fun. Much better than high school. Alums come back, it's a big party for home games, and it's just a fun atmosphere for kids to be around. There are also fine arts events going on in this building all the time, every weekend. And then there's cool stuff going on in the residence hall, movie nights, and let's have a bake-off, and just fun stuff. The other thing that I've learned is that college students like to do silly stuff. One of the most wonderful activities for our 18-year-olds are slip and slides. Slip and slides, really? So we don't have to be really sophisticated about thinking what we do to entertain them. So nudging them to spend time here is going to help them do that. But the other thing I want to leave you with is, are you going to be able to do that? Can you imagine having the conversation that Brent and Carol Ann had, where you're really trying to push her to go back? Remember, as difficult as it is, our job here, our enterprise, our challenge here is to get those kids out and independent. And so if you're saying, I'm so glad to see you all the time, you're not going to be helping the situation. So just be thinking about that, okay? Next one. It's midterms. It's about the first, second week in October, and parents call to see, how are you doing?
Hey, sweetie, I just read in the Scott Knot that it's midterms at Maryville College. And I think will you call Ludine and see how school's going?
Absolutely.
Yeah, give her a call.
I like that idea. Hey, Hey, Ludine, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going great, Dad. How are you?
Pretty outside. It's fall.
Yeah.
Leaves are changing and all. Hey, how can I see your grades? I don't know how to get into the system. I've tried to get in. How can I see how you're doing?
I mean, like you can't. So
I what?
you can't. Like
You say you can't?
no, like the grades that I'll get in the class. That's at the end of the semester. So
Yeah.
it's just like midterms. Now.
Yeah, I think I'm paying the bill, right?
I mean, I can like send you my grades. Like
Okay, that'd be great. Here.
That, you kind of jumped way ahead of where I was with that. I was just wondering how things are going. I know it's time for midterms, so how are things going with midterms?
yeah, they're fine. Like they're coming.
Are you
so-
finding a place in the library to study or a quiet place that you're, find that you can kind of get the things done you need to?
Yeah, I'm kind of just like studying in my room, just like hanging out.
Okay. Any trouble with any of your grades or any of your classes that you might want to, get some extra help, go to some study sessions or
I mean,
tutors or?
I don't think so. I mean, we'll see when I get there, right?
Okay, so you're just, but it feels like things are going pretty well?
Yeah.
Okay. What does yeah mean? Okay. Well, I know Dad would obviously like to see your grades. I would just like to hear whether you're enjoying your classes and if you feel like they're going reasonably well. And maybe that's what yeah means.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're kind of not getting anything very tangible.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a very typical conversation. Kids are simply not going to be real forthcoming if you call them up and say, how are your classes going? You're going to get the monosyllabic, fine. So let's dive into this a little bit. You're going to have to ask them questions that are going to elicit answers. One trick one that I love to use is, you're taking composition, are you? What is the name of that professor? If a student is not fully engaged, they don't know who their professors are. Shame on them. Our composition teachers have 20 students in class, much smaller than most high school classes your kids have been in. And by then, their teachers have made connections with the students. If your child hasn't made that connection back, that's a good trick question to go, oh, okay. Another trick question is, have you had to miss any classes? Don't do it accusingly. Have you had to miss any classes? And they say, well, yeah. Oh, how come? Well, I overslept. Oh, another danger signal. Have you gone to study or to group study? Now, here's a trick, and I want to get Ludine to help me with this because she's one of our most outstanding tutor and group study guides. At Maryville College, we don't even call it study groups and tutoring. We call it group study. And we expect that everybody's going to go occasionally, that you don't have to wait until the train wreck at the end of the semester to try to hop on and get some tutoring done. Describe what goes on in a group study session.
Okay. Group study, it's 3 hours a week and there could be multiple people. So it's like, if I'm taking Comp 130, then I'll do a group study and I'll sit in the library for 3 hours a week. So it could be like Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7 to 8:30. And I'll just sit there and I'll have my notes and I'll be writing my papers. And students in my class or in any of the other classes can like come to my group study and sit and like hang out and like we can like figure out the notes and everything, and if they're having trouble, like I can help them, and if I'm having trouble, they can help me.
So what's the subject you do group study in?
I did group study in Western Civ, which is one of the core classes, and Bib 140, which is another one of the core classes.
Okay, what's your grade point average?
3.86.
This is a woman you want to hang out with. I was reading an article this week about the difference between high school and college, and there was a quote that I thought I'm going to remember this. It said, in high school, you do homework. In college, you study. And successful college students figure out what the difference in those two things are, differences. College professors don't assign homework. And so if you call your student and say, well, how's your homework this week? They don't know, they're not going to know what you're talking about. Now, I don't want you to panic. It's not your job to teach study skills in the next month. We do that. But we do it if your students are encouraged to be willing vessels for our helping. And so the peer mentors in the peer mentor groups will talk about, here's how you get your work done. Here's what you need to do when you leave a class to make sure that you're prepared for the next class meeting. And then we have these wide open guided study groups going on all over campus. We have some that are specifically for athletes that work around their practice schedule. And it is amazing how grade point averages on campus have increased in the last couple of years since we started doing those. So the trick here is they are led by outstanding students who are literally sitting there doing the work. So your student gets to come in and see, okay, this is how you get to have a 3.8 grade point average. Okay? So, now, back to the other stuff. Let's say you have uncovered some danger signals, like you figured out that your child's missed some classes, or they don't know who their professors are, or you're only getting fun, I guess, okay, kind of answers. It is fine at that point to call me. I am not going to give you their grades. First of all, I don't have access to their grades. What I am going to do is I'm going to call in Ludine, and I'm going to say, Ludine, your mom's a little, my mother called you? And I'm going to say, yes, because we love you, and we're concerned about you. And she's concerned because she thinks that you've maybe missed some classes. How are your classes? And I have talked to this professor, and he tells me that you've missed some assignments. So what's going on? And so Ludine and I are going to have that conversation. And then I'm going to say, while you're in my office, let's call your mom and tell her we've got a plan. And we're going to do that. And I will not have broken any privacy laws because Ludine's going to sit there saying, sure, let's call mom. And it'll all be good. So you see how that works? Okay, so, all right. Last one. Often students are going to hit a sinking spell, and in my experience, it often comes at the end of the semester, and they're just done. So, Ludine?
Hey, sweetie.
Hey, Mom.
Oh, what's wrong?
I hate it there.
What?
I think it's like the worst school. Like, I hate it.
Oh, honey, what's happened that would make you feel that way? Because you've been so optimistic and hopeful and having such a good time.
My roommate sucks, and the classes are hard, and there's no help anywhere. Like, I can't find it, and I hate it, and I don't want to go back, and you can't make me go back.
Oh, honey, yes. Well, I know you're frustrated, and I know it feels like that you're thinking of that, but you know what? Coils are not quitters. We're not quitters. You're not going to quit out on something that you've committed to, okay?
Totally agree. No quitting. This is the time to keep going with this.
But it's not just about quitting. It's about wanting to prove to yourself that you can follow through with the commitment you've made. And we know you can do it. First semester is always the hardest when you've just transitioned into college, and you just one day at a time. And you know that you have all kinds of resources that you can. Let me just listen to you.
I just don't want to go back. I don't want to go back.
Well, honey, I know that you don't, but we are serious about insisting that you certainly finish out this year. Finish out this semester. Okay.
Yeah, there's some things, girl, that it's just there's hard things to do in life. This might be one of them. This might be one of the first ones that you really have to face doing something because there's a bigger end in mind. And so, do it.
And you know, when I was in graduate school, my dad wrote me a letter, and he said, because I was very discouraged and I was ready to quit and I wasn't going to see it through, and he said, just keep in mind, illegitimus non corporundum or some kind of Latin thing, that he said, don't let the bad guys get you down. So just remember that you're in charge, and you can take it one day at a time, and you'll do what you can do, and then you'll feel really confident in yourself for having done it.
Perfect. It is very likely that you're going to go through a conversation like this. And it may be because of the first D on a paper in his life. Or it may be because I thought I was going to start on the football team and there are seniors ahead of me. How did that happen? It may be I got sick and missed a week of class and I just can't get myself back together again. I mean, there are all kinds of things. We talk about the W of the first semester. It seems like every week you're either up or down or up or down or up or down. And you're going to be on the other end of all those phone calls. One of my favorite quotes is, "A mother is only as happy as her least happy child." Same goes for daddies. And so think about how you are going to respond when that call happens, because it very likely will. And what we want you to do is to hang firm, make suggestions about who your child can talk to maybe get some comfort and encouragement. I hope I have impressed upon you today that I'm accessible in my office. Ludine can tell you my office is never closed if they just need a hug and an encouraging word. You can also call me and say, Ludine's having a really tough week, can you check on her? And I'll get RAs and peer mentors and some students to check on her and make sure that she's okay. We'll get through it. But it is a terrible mistake for you to waffle in your commitment for your child to be here for this year. Let me talk about that a little bit. I know that you're making tremendous financial and other kinds of sacrifices to have your child here at Maryville College. And so it's going to be really tempting if Ludine, your Ludine, comes home and says, I really just want to go to the low-cost or free community college. Maryville's awful, I don't want to be there. That's going to be really tempting from a practical standpoint. I don't have a quarrel. I don't worry so much if a student has worked their whole year and has decided, you know what, I really do need a big university. Or you know what, Maryville has taught me that what I need to major in is this thing over here. That's okay. That happens. I feel like we've contributed to the growth of that student. But at the end of the first semester, they simply don't know enough about themselves or about us or about life. And so be prepared for this conversation. It may happen the first week of school. I hope it doesn't happen the first week of school. But it very likely will happen sometime during the first year. And what I hope you'll do is encourage them to hang tough, to use the resources they've got, and to stay with us for the year. Because what I have found is that when that happens, most of the time they stay with us and are so grateful in a few years that they did complete their Maryville College experience. Do you want to add anything to that, Ludine, about experiences you've had? Have I covered it, or?
I mean, there was, it was the second day that I was here, and I'm 800 miles away from home because I'm from Fort Myers, Florida, and I was just really homesick, and I was like, I'm leaving. Goodbye. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. And, I put it on Facebook and I said, I'm transferring, and just this outpouring of love from like Maryville people who have known me for like 2 days just came. They're like, don't leave, it's great, it's such a great school. And my peer mentor like found me, and my group was like, no, don't leave. And it was just really great because, you know, we say we care about your students, like we love them, but it's real. Like I call, like most peer mentors, we call our mentees your students, we call them our babies, like they're our children, like I am their mother. And so like we really care about them. And so I know like whenever they decide to leave or something, like Vandy was talking about, they're talking about leaving, like we're just like, no, like I birthed you into this school, like stop. So we're there for them. So like if that doesn't ever have to be a worry.
And I think the point that you made about the second day, homesickness happens. Every single student goes through some experience of homesick. I'll tell you when it often happens with athletes is after the season's over, because they're so connected to their soccer and football and teams and so forth, and then November comes and it's like they collapse. So there are going to be times of sadness and depression, and we're Ludine's there for them. Okay, so let's give a hand to our actors. As I wrap up this session, I do want to point out two important ways that we communicate with you. One is a newsletter that comes out every month called the Scott Knot. Did any of you get a Scott Knot yet? Some of you did. If you are already in our system with your email address, you're already getting the Scott Knot. It gives you things just like they on cue referred to. You know, we'll tell you, for example, when midterms are going on, so you'll know that your student may need some extra support and encouragement during that difficult time and so forth. And also, we have a really good website area for our parents that gives you all kinds of information. And one of the things that I particularly like for those of you that are first-time college parents is the two that I starred down there, the frequently asked questions and the glossary of college lingo. We do have a parents' council, and the parents' council is made up of 4 families from each class, so I'll be shopping and asking you all later in the year if you'd like to be on the Parents Council. And about 3 years ago, the Parents Council created a list of terms that they thought were pretty unfamiliar for a lot of parents. And we defined them and put them on there. So that's the glossary of college lingo. And then the frequently asked questions are just the things that we get asked a lot. And they're organized, and you can go on there, and if you heard something today that doesn't make sense to you, check it out there. And then if you can't find it there, by all means, call us. So use that website. It's easy to access. And if you have suggestions for it, by all means, let us know. And I want to close, and I'm going to send you off to lunch. These are reminders for you to constantly be saying to your students, look for new ways of being. Look for people that are different from you and see if you can learn something from them. Always do the work. There is work every day to do. Always. Always do the work. Minimize distractions. Have honest conversations with your child about who are you hanging out with and what are their grades like? Are they good students? If they're not good students, maybe you need to think about spending time differently. Go to Lou Dean's group study. I love this next one, be able to function. That means learning in these next few weeks how to take care of themselves, what to do when you're not feeling well, how much sleep do you really need to have, how to take care of yourself emotionally if you do get sad or depressed, and to constantly be able to answer the question truthfully, how am I doing? How am I doing today? Am I being a successful college student? How's this all working out for me? All right. Let's talk about lunch. Your greatest challenge of the day is that we have to get you from here to Bartlett Hall, which is where the Student Center is, and we're all going to walk in that direction. And directly behind Bartlett Hall is the Alumni Gym, where you're going to be having your lunch today. So they're going to be ready to serve in about 15 minutes, so we're going to slowly start meandering over there. You're going to go through Bartlett Hall to get to the gym, and you'll see as we go through the lobby of Bartlett, the bookstore is there. So you may want to pop in there. You've got a discount today to use in there. We'd love for you to leave with some Maryville College bling. And I will need you back in here in an hour and a half. So you've got a good long time to sort of relax. Now, what are you supposed to do when you see your students? If I see you sitting there eating with one of our students, I'm going to come grab them from you. So don't embarrass them. All right? Have a great lunch, and I'll see you back in an hour and a half.